our last round of Swiss with Adam Warfield going up against Steven Mia. We saw Steven on stream yesterday at our other Midseason Showdown. He's rocking the same team that he used to get top 8 at the Pokemon World Championships. He's got Kangaskhan, Tornadus, Kyogre, Amoonguss, Incineroar, and Xerneas. Meanwhile, on Adam's side, this is going to be the third Yveltal Groudon team that we've seen on stream, of course, with the Venusaur, Tapu Koko, Metagross, and Incineroar.
And we have Stevens. Did you just say Stevens? Sorry?
Yes.
Okay. A very familiar matchup for many players, the Kangtorn Zernogre matchup versus the Groudon Venusaur Yveltal that we've seen 3 times already today. Both players are 3-0, so they're clearly comfortable with what they've been bringing. And we get to see round 1.
Yeah, not really sure what to say about the matchup here. I don't think I've seen these teams these particular squads go up against each other before, but it definitely looks to be a back and forth weather type battle here. Of course, the Xerneas, the polar opposite of restricted Pokemons coming out from both sides here. We have Xerneas and Kyogre going up against Yveltal and Groudon, so really just the antithesis of the restricted pairs coming out from both sides. But I feel like Metagross could be a really good call here as Adam decides to lead it here along with his Tapu Koko, while Steven, on the other hand, is going to go with the Incineroar and the Xerneas.
Yeah. Fairly standard leads from both players. Xerneas can't get too comfortable, even thinking that a fake out from Incineroar can go into the Metagross, and Xerneas can just set up Geomancy, because if the Xerneas gets too much damage from a potential Tapunium Z, then it's in Bullet Punch range, so Xerneas won't be able to really do anything without an Amoonguss helping it out. So Xerneas might look like it's in a position to set up a Geo, but it needs to be careful not to take too much extra damage. But we do see the Koko just hard switching out, not going for that position, and Incineroar coming in to threaten the fake out against the Xerneas at +2 or +0, either way. And Metagross most likely wanted to get some damage out.
Yeah, Xerneas is going for a Protect here, as the Incineroar, Metagross also going for a Protect here, possibly just reading a Protect coming out from the opposing side. And we're just going to see a U-turn going into the protecting Metagross, so no pivoting out here, but Adam going to do some pivoting on his own and getting that Incineroar in. Now he has the Fake Out advantage on deck.
Yeah. No Intimidates going into the Metagross on Adam's side of the field. Fake Out being able to... since the Xerneas went for the Protect, it's really threatened by the Metagross right now, especially with Adam's live Fake Out. Xerneas switches out, most likely into the Amoonguss, to be able to take some of the damage. A double up into that Amoonguss would be pretty threatening for Steven right now, since he kind of needs the Amoonguss to avoid damage from the Metagross overall. Metagross goes for a neutral Iron Head into the Xerneas, which has become an Amoonguss. Very physically defensive. That did not do any damage whatsoever. Incineroar's U-turn from Steven going before Incineroar's move from Adam, which chose not to fake out. So unless a Roar is coming in, we see that Steven's Incineroar is faster than Adam's Incineroar.
Yeah, so Steven basically has repositioned his Xerneas here to the point where it's now its partner has become the Amoonguss rather than the Incineroar. So now Steven has the ability to redirect damage from that Xerneas into the Amoonguss slot with the Rage Powder here. But Adam just going to U-turn out here his Incineroar, he's going back into his Tapu Koko here. So Koko coming back in. Yeah, still has that potential Z-move pressure. We saw that Iron Head just hovers around 50% on the Amoonguss.
A roll, in all honesty.
It could be a roll here. So Amoonguss may... Well, obviously,
Koko
if
go first.
Yeah, Koko would chip the Amoonguss and we'd see a knockout if an Iron Head were to go into that slot. But
this is a very clean Rage Powder from the Amoonguss to be able to protect the Tapu Koko from the damage right now. Light Screen from the Koko on Adam's side of the field, knowing that he can't stop the Xerneas from getting a Geomancy, he chooses instead to reduce the damage from the Xerneas' +2. Seeing the Iron Head, it was a roll, getting the knockout on the Amoonguss. Maybe a little unfortunate for Steven because he did not want to lose the Amoonguss just yet with the Light Screen going up. But we can probably get an Incineroar coming back out from Steven, getting some more damage from the Geomancy, and even in front of the Light Screen, still doing a lot of work.
Yeah, the Light Screen being very huge going into these next couple turns here, just reducing the amount of damage that Xerneas and a potential Kyogre can do to these Pokemon here. But we're just going to see Incineroar switch back in, get the Intimidate now onto the Metagross since it has Sacrifice Clear Body for the Mega Evolution.
That Light Screen is a very fun addition. I don't think it was on the team from the get-go. I don't remember if it's the case. Do you know if most of these Evil Dons have been running light screen on the Coco?
I think the move set is usually Volt Switch, Nature's Madness, and Light Screen.
Okay.
I think they if they hadn't adopted Light Screen before, it's definitely a recent addition.
Okay.
They've definitely all started running that more supportive Tapu
So
Koko.
it makes it likely that the Coco does not get knocked out from a +2 Moonblast if it's bulky, so the top Tapunium Z can go into the Xerneas for free, protect from the Coco not to take the fairy damage from the Xerneas, protect from the Metagross as well to dodge the fake out from the Incineroar regardless of what's going on. Moonblast and the Xerneas not going to do anything, and we might see a there's a U-turn from the Incineroar. Strong double protect from Adam because even though the Xerneas is at +2, with the light screen up and the Coco's overall bulk, he still has the positioning on the. He can still threaten the Xerneas really heavily right now.
Yeah, but even with that light screen up, depending on Steven's investment, I don't think Coco will still be able to take, if he decides to dedicate a Moonblast into that slot, Coco might not be able to take that attack. So what I was going to say, my point being is that he would have to dedicate 2 attacks into a slot in order to get a
Take a
KO
knockout,
here.
yeah.
So he would have to Nature's Madness or Stomping Tantrum, Nature's Madness and Moonblast, or Nature's Madness and Iron Head. But we're going to see that Moonblast go into top of Coco.
Oh, it does
barely hang on.
I think it's probably easy to do that with the light screen. Now that Tapunium Z puts Xerneas on a timer, putting it in bullet punch range, regardless of what happens, especially since Adam switched into the Incineroar to give himself the live fake out.
The third time we've seen this team on stream, but this is the first time we've seen the Z move.
That's true. Flare Blitz coming out. He went for the Flare Blitz into the Metagross. While the Xerneas has eaten a lot of its HP,
still able to get some damage off here.
It can potentially still get damage off since the Metagross is not yet on the field. Adam will have to play whether he wants to get the Metagross back on the field, and if he does get the Metagross back on the field, if Xerneas calls that that's what's happening and doesn't protect in some way, then it might be able to keep a protect against the Metagross coming in. So it's not completely over for Steven Xerneas, but that 75% from the Tapunium Z really helps.
Yeah, if you're Adam here, being able to get that Metagross back in would be huge. But we're going to see the switch out here from the Incineroar.
A hard switch out.
Yes, as Kyogre is going to come in here. I would be interested to see if Steven decides to go about the decision to protect his Xerneas here. Whether or not he wants to potentially risk a fake out going into that slot and then
a Volt Switch.
Yeah, Volt Switch going into that Incineroar just so he gets that free switch in back into his Metagross.
Does go into the Xerneas. Volt Switch knocking it out is actually iffy. I'm not even sure if it would, but Steven read that the Volt Switch would not go into the Xerneas regardless because the Adam wants the free guaranteed switch out to his Metagross. It's possible he goes into the Groudon under these circumstances. Pretty likely, in all honesty. But Metagross comes in instead, threatening the Bullet Punch against the Xerneas, but Incineroar coming in instead of the Kyogre feels pretty telegraphed.
Yeah. It seems like a pretty straightforward switch out here from Adam, so Steven might decide to just let Kyogre sit in the back, but instead Steven just going to go straight for the forfeit.
He read the writing on the wall. He knew that there was very little you could do, especially with the Groudon in the back, and instead of revealing more of his text, revealing more of his options, and seeing the damage as it was, he decided to go into game 2 a little more quickly. I do tend to see forfeits a little fast from Steven, where he respects that his opponent knows how to finish the end game and just says, all right, fine, let's go to the next game. Don't know how I feel about that, per se, because sometimes respecting your opponent is the wrong option, but he knows that Adam knew how to finish it up.
Yeah, definitely in a position where he was able to clean up the end game rather easily. But going into game 2 here, I'm interested to see if Steven will try to still go for that straightforward Xerneas mode, as the Xerneas, it was able to get that Geomancy.
Able to get the Geomancy.
Yeah, but the Amoonguss being knocked out by that Iron Head was pretty big, and just having Adam having that ability to get that Guardian of Alola onto the Xerneas and put it in range of that Metagross. He just played really well on preserving those, and
those
just continuously chipping the Xerneas.
Game 1 were the pieces that got the Xerneas in the pinned position that didn't let it go to the damage, and we saw Adam take that game without even revealing the Groudon. The turning points really were just how bulky that Tapu Koko was. Tapu Koko being able to live the +2 Moonblast in front of the light screen really changed the course of the game, giving Adam the opportunity to get the Tapunium Z on the Xerneas, so I think Steven might adjust his game plan to try to get a little bit more chip on the Xerneas before he sets up a Geomancy. And we see Steven already switching up his game plan by leading the Amoonguss in front of the Xerneas to be able to redirect some options, but Adam covering that nicely.
Yeah, he brings in the Venusaur here, which is an interesting mix-up here, but it does have a really decent matchup against the opposing Kyogre and the Xerneas, and especially in this situation where it can ignore the Amoonguss's Rage Powder since it's a Grass type, and now that allows it to go for a Sleep Powder to potentially prevent a Geomancy.
Almost definitely a Sleep Powder, not really a Sludge Bomb.
Yeah, Sludge Bomb, yeah, it would probably be better to just not allow the Xerneas to either act on this turn. I don't think we have an indication on how fast this Xerneas is, but Xerneas definitely just not in a very good position here.
Sleep Powder not a threat anymore since Metagross switched out into the Tapu Koko. Maybe that Adam went for the Sludge Bomb into the Xerneas instead. Rage Powder trying to redirect the attack from Metagross. Steven seemingly just trying to commit to setting up a Geomancy, hoping for a Sleep Powder miss. Hopefully Adam did not Sleep Powder the Xerneas switch into Koko. That would be exactly what Steven needs to win the game. Sludge Bomb into the Xerneas won't do too much damage. I think Steven just saw that he led poorly and needed to capitalize on a miss or a misplay from Adam. The Sludge Bomb goes into the Xerneas. Hopefully for Steven, he doesn't see a poison or a crit. Neither happens, and now Steven's looking like he's in a fancy boy position. Light Screen not up, so Moonblast being able to knock out the Tapu Koko before it moves. Amoonguss at close to full health, so not scared of a Metagross coming in. And Xerneas not getting knocked out by a Sludge Bomb, so Xerneas is looking pretty happy right now.
Yeah, Xerneas in a very, very nice position here. But, of course, it does have to, Steven still has to play very carefully with it, because the more damage that Xerneas takes, the closer it gets to Metagross range. So
Steven recognizes that, switching in the Incineroar now, potentially protecting with the Xerneas in order to avoid the damage, or getting the damage off while he can, maintaining the live fake out, and then getting even more damage this coming turn. Moonblast into the Venusaur, either reading into the Koko Protect or just not caring what the Koko did. Special attack drop actually coming in helpful right now, even lowering the Sludge Bomb damage further. No poison once again. Xerneas not on a timer, instead on a tear. With the live fake out coming from Adam, from Steven, fake out Gleam looks pretty strong right now. Or even potentially a U-turn from the Xerneas into the Amoonguss and then a Gleam.
Yeah, I like Steven's position here, since he is definitely threatening a fake out plus a attack. I would like to say Dazzling Gleam, but we're gonna see Groudon switch in here.
Double Venusaur speed step, but still slower than the Xerneas most likely.
Yeah. I think U-turn would be a very, very smart play here from Steven, because it now allows him to capitalize on a defensive play coming out from Adam here. Probably doesn't even need the fake out here.
I don't think fake out is too important under this position. U-turn, Gleam, and then getting the Amoonguss in would be a really healthy board state for Steven right now. Moonblast comes in most likely into that Koko slot, which is now a Groudon, to prevent the light screen from going up.
That was a lot of damage.
It did do a lot of damage to that Groudon. We do see the U-turn into the Groudon as well. Getting himself into putting the Amoonguss in play right now. I think that's threatening a knockout on the Groudon with a Gleam if he so chooses. But he goes into Kyogre instead, and rightfully so, knowing that if his Kyogre is faster than the Groudon, he just gets water moves for days right now.
Yeah, even if you're not faster than the Groudon, like Origin Pulse still probably does a number here. You can just take the knockout on the Groudon and does a lot of damage to Metagross, and if Metagross is chipped enough, it makes Steven's job a lot easier going into the end game here.
So however, I am not sure if I think this is a board state for Steven. Now, if he went to the Amoonguss, he could at least safely get around the Metagross to get knockouts. Whereas with Kyogre, he might now have to protect the Xerneas because it's in Bullet Punch range. Groudon is switching out to threaten the Kyogre, but there is still the risk that the Xerneas goes down. Very passive turn from Adam. Moonblast from the Groudon.
Or into the Groudon.
Into the Groudon slot. Not caring about Bullet Punch, recognizing that if he gets the knockout on the Metagross, his Incineroar, or his Kyogre probably wins the endgame by itself. But now, Groudon does come in the sun, so Metagross isn't taking this damage. and Xerneas is in bullet punch range. Kyogre takes a lot from Precipice Blades. I'm still not sure if I agree with having gone to the Ogre instead of Amoonguss.
Yeah, because now this puts Adam in a position where he's able to regain the weather advantage, although Groudon has taken a fair amount of damage.
It might still get knocked out by Ice Beam.
Yeah, it's definitely probably likely in Ice Beam range, and also his Xerneas. Now, but on the other hand, Steven Xerneas will be now in Bullet Punch range, so this creates kind of an awkward spot for Steven to be in because, well, his Xerneas is likely in position to be knocked out here, but instead we're just going to see a switch out from the Kyogre going into the Incineroar. No, Amoonguss. This is Amoonguss. And now Metagross going to Mega Evolve, likely going to just go straight for the Xerneas.
What I have seen from Steven and what I've talked to him about how he plays his team is he knows that he's fine getting out damage as early as he can and then losing knockouts in exchange, because if he gets the like these tricky knockouts like the Moonblast against the Groudon, even if the Xerneas gets knocked out, he doesn't mind that much because now he's the Kyogre in the back. That being said, he did risk a lot of damage from that. He did risk a bullet punch, so we think that I think Adam was covering for a protect from the Xerneas to target that Kyogre and then maybe get the Iron Head Precipice Blades into it. And Steven read into that well.
Yeah, that was a very, very well played turn there from Steven, just being able to get that Amoonguss back in. And now Adam is the one going to
I still think that was a much dicier endgame than had he gone into Amoonguss originally.
Yeah.
To just get out damage with the Xerneas and then win Kyogre against Groudon Venusaur in the back, assuming that Steven's Kyogre is faster than Venusaur.
Yeah, I think Steven was definitely playing on the back foot when he had that Kyogre in, but he's able to regain the advantage with some plays going his way from Adam's end. But now that forces a Game 3 situation, and I think we've just seen, I think that showed in Game 2 how vital Xerneas can be in this matchup, because like you said, like he knows that he's not exactly in a position all the time to keep scoring knockouts with Xerneas, but getting that initial chip damage to put it in range, or put the opponent's Pokemon in range for knockouts in the end game is really big for this team.
So Steven's already locked in within 10 seconds, asserting his dominance, knowing exactly what he wants to do to play against Adam. Adam locked in pretty quickly as well. Both players feel comfortable with their game plans and just need to execute a little bit differently. I am excited to see how Adam adjusts from Steven being able to get the Geomancy out prior to the light screen going up. Adam not getting the light screen out was a really big deal, so he's going back to his old faithful lead from Game 1 with Coco Metagross.
And Steven going to be sending in the Amoonguss and Xerneas here, so going back to his Game 2 lead.
Amoonguss is a bit neutered from Coco already being on the field. Coco has the opportunity to set up light screen pretty safely right now, and Metagross can go for damage into the Xerneas, get redirected and not mind it too much. I think Adam most likely feels pretty comfortable just launching an attack with a Metagross this turn. If Incineroar comes in, that's not that big of a deal.
Yeah, we're just going to see the Mega Evolution coming out from the Metagross. Steven just going for that Rage Powder, going for that Geomancy. Yeah, but Coco anticipating this, knowing that, we saw a similar interaction to this in Game 1, where Adam wasn't necessarily able to stop the Geomancy, but he knows in anticipation of that Geomancy that he's going to go ahead and set up that light screen, which really paid many dividends in that first game.
That Iron Head does more damage to the Amoonguss this time than it did the first time it Iron Headed the Amoonguss, making it more likely that Amoonguss gets knocked out by a second Iron Head. Coco, we know, does live a +2 Moonblast from what we saw Game 1. It's not able to safely get a Tupunium Z against the Xerneas this turn because the Amoonguss can Rage Powder it away and then Rage Powder the Metagross's attack. So the way Coco responds to this turn is going to be really important, especially since Steven probably has the Incineroar in the back, so we can read into safe place from the Coco. Protect on... Okay.
Yeah. Just going to double protect here.
I'm not sure why.
Yeah, because I'm not really sure what exactly that does for you.
Besides stall
I was thinking of a potential play for Adam is just to protect the Coco so you get the knockout onto Amoonguss with your Metagross, and that way you can you eliminate the redirection, so you put yourself in a position where you don't even have to Tapunium Z the Xerneas. You can just Nature's Madness Iron Head it next turn.
It is possible that Steven was calling or trying to see what would happen if a Protect went off, so he know that he can attack a slot pretty safely, and also that he didn't mind burning Eternal Light Screen there safely as well.
Right.
So even if it didn't look like it accomplished much, that was still a pretty strong double Protect from Steven. The Incineroar comes back in on Adam's side of the field, and
it's a pretty useless Intimidate off.
The Intimidate doesn't matter, but the Fake Out is strong. Rage Powder coming in from the Amoonguss, probably getting knocked out by the Metagross. Dazzling Gleam not doing much to anything.
Yeah, especially with that light screen up.
It looks like +1 damage, but we know it's +2. This Iron Head gets a clean knockout on the Amoonguss.
And now I would anticipate that we're going to see Steven's Incineroar switch in here, getting a much more useful Intimidate onto the Mega Metagross and the Incineroar here. Now, I guess this turn could be a bit dicey if it decides to come down to Incineroar speed stats. I don't think we know exactly how fast either of these Incineroar are. So, I mean, the safe interaction would just be to trade Fake Outs, but maybe one of these players will decide to do something a bit different than just going for a Fake Out.
Yeah, Incin v Incin is not always the safest set of circumstances. We know that Steven's Incineroar is faster than Adam's Incineroar, but it's possible that Adam's Incineroar has Roar. Neither Incineroar went for Fake Out this turn. Xerneas went for the Moonblast into the Incineroar slot immediately, and Flare Blitz went into the Metagross slot. Incineroar went for a U-turn directly, not... Oh, I'm so sorry.
Oh, you're good.
Oh, goodness. Did that do anything?
No.
I kicked some stuff. My apologies to the stream. Incineroar on on Adam's side of the field U-turns out, trying to get a better switch into a Pokemon more equipped to handle the situation, including Tapu Koko. Really do apologize that just happened. Koko's not doing much damage right now, but he does threaten Tapunium Z. Xerneas isn't getting a knockout on the Koko or the Metagross this turn, but Flare Blitz is looking strong. The Metagross just did Protect. So we could see a Flare Blitz from Steven's Incineroar going into the Metagross and a Protect from his Xerneas. I'm not sure how many turns of Light Skin are left.
There should be... at least there's probably like 1 or 2 left, I would say. But Adam's just going to bring his Incineroar back in here, going to get that Intimidate on the opposing Incineroar, and the Xerneas again not minding the attack drop whatsoever. But Xerneas going for a Moonblast here. This is going into
calling
the
Incineroar. What was a Metagross is now an Incineroar. Gets the knockout. No Fake Outs for Adam.
Move into this Xerneas, because now you're putting it into a position where it will be knocked out by the Metagross's Bullet Punch, and now Koko sticking around is pretty good. Yeah, that did absolutely
-2.
nothing. Yeah, Koko sticking around is really good here, because now you can get that Nature's Madness into the Incineroar and putting it into Metagross range with Stomping Tantrum on the next turn. So I definitely think Adam is in a pretty good position here, despite just losing a Pokemon.
Bullet Punch threatens the Xerneas knockout. Tapu Koko feels pretty safe right now to just set up another Light Screen if it so chooses. Nothing's really threatening it. The only thing that Steven can really do to put himself back in the game is to get Kyogre on the field in the Incineroar slot. We might see the interesting switch out +2 Xerneas into Kyogre play. Goes for a Protect instead, doesn't want to take the Bullet Punch, but we probably just see a passive turn on Adam's side of the field. Not sure why that Koko went for a Protect, if I'm being honest. But also a fun double Protect from Adam. I guess that's why Koko went for the Protect. Roar coming out from Steven Xerneas, taking the Metagross out of the field, preventing it from stopping the Xerneas from getting any damage off. Now that Koko just went for a Protect, Moonblast will go into it before it gets off a Light Screen, and then we'll see a 2v2 at the end with Groudon on the field already. If Steven gets a knockout this turn, he guarantees the weather advantage, even if Groudon switches out, because Steven's Kyogre hasn't come in yet, so it hasn't Primal reverted yet.
Yeah, so if the Kyogre does come back in here, it will be able to set the rain up here.
We should see a Moonblast into the Koko slot, just get a knockout on the Koko or the Metagross, whichever comes in.
Yeah, but if you target down this Koko with a Moonblast, you decide to dedicate a Moonblast into it, you're diverting attention away from the Groudon here. And if it does go for a Precipice Blades, then it just gets 2 knockouts.
That's okay. If he gets this knockout into the Metagross spot somehow. Instead he chooses to go for a Gleam. Reduce the damage of Eruption. I don't think it has Precipice Blades. Earth Power goes into that. If he Flare Blitz, it still lives, which is funny.
Oh, right. Yeah, it doesn't have Precipice Blades.
If Flare Blitz goes into the Metagross slot, this looks like the game is probably over in Steven's favor. Metagross gets a knockout with the Flare Blitz. If there's Kyogre in the back, the Tapu Koko on
Adam's side
of the field can't do enough damage to the Kyogre to stop it from being able to get the double knockout against Tapu Koko Groudon with Water Spout.
Yeah, this endgame is trending towards Steven's favor here. He has a very, very straightforward route.
We probably just need Protect from Xerneas, U-turn from the Groudon, or from the Incineroar, and then win with the Kyogre.
Yeah, once Steven is able to get the Xerneas and the Kyogre onto the field, it's pretty.
Or just hard switch
yeah,
out.
Hard switch also works.
That's fine because he's just probably gonna Moonblast the Tapu Koko this turn.
Yeah, because Xerneas is now able to get the knockout on that Tapu Koko, and
if the Xerneas gets knocked out, he's Incineroar.
Yeah, being threatened by the Kyogre here, and yep, it's
Yeah, that was a strong switch to Kyogre. Steven, again, really showing how he's mastered how to be fine when your Pokemon get knocked out. Tapu Koko on Adam's side of the field protects, even if the Xerneas on Steven's side of the field gets knocked out this turn, it still gets damage off. And then Incineroar comes back in of a live fake out to fake out the Tapu Koko Water Spout, and the game is pretty over.
And that Dazzling Gleam just doing more than enough damage to put Groudon in range of even another Dazzling Gleam if Xerneas were to stick around here. But now Incineroar comes back in. Tapu Koko just went for the Protect there, so fake out into Tapu Koko and Water Spout.
Game is over.
Yep.
Even if the Koko gets a double Protect, I think it should be fine since the Groudon is slower than the Kyogre is.
Yeah, so Kyogre having the speed advantage definitely coming in handy here. But yep, just looking for a pretty straightforward end game here, faking out the Tapu Koko and then just going for a Water Spout, and that should be good game for Steven as he advances to 4-0 and looking like the top seed here at this Midseason Showdown.
Well played by both players. Really enjoyed seeing how this matchup went out. The Protect fails on the Tapu Koko. Protect from the Groudon did not fail because he hadn't protected yet, but the fake out goes into the Tapu Koko. The water move happens, and this game is a wrap. Well, I guess it's not a wrap yet, but
like
it's a wrap.
It's looking
it's looking feisty.
Yeah.
I really enjoy watching Steven play with Xerneas. There's a lot I have to learn from how he positions his board, what damage he goes for, what damage he lets happen, who he lets knock him out, etc. He's been very consistent since his top 8 at Worlds, going into just using this similar team, strong finishes since, and just really showing that he knows this team inside and out, and is a really strong player going to Sword and Shield. So congrats on the 4-0, Steven. We will be back for Top Cut. So we'll see you soon.
Yeah, we'll be back soon. Really well played endgame there to Steven, and once we get
job,
top
Adam.
4, Adam will most likely be making the cut as well. I know there will be an X1 that misses, but with his Adam's resistance, he should be fine. We'll likely be seeing him in top cut as well. But like Rajan said, we are now